to another episode of the Modern Father Podcast. I am one half of your host, Benji, and then I have my other half of the host of podcasting, Benji. How you doing?
You just called yourself Benji and then introduced me as Benji. Edit.
Let's start again. Okay, I can cut that off. Here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Father Podcast. I am Marcus. This is your other host, the David Copperfield of podcasting, Benji. How you doing?
I'm good. Just for everyone to know, this is a retake because this dude introduced himself as me. So that's how we started today's episode. So he's gonna edit the other part out, but you still get to hear about it because that shit sounds dumb as hell.
I called myself you know. That's all. I'm over here playing hurt, man. I'm over here. I had either I was sick or bad allergies all day, man. I was going through it. It's disgusting over here. It's house disgusting right now. How's everything? Tell me something good about this last week.
Last week has been good, baby. Oh, the baby has slept the last 4 nights all the way through, which is dope. So a week before turning 3 months. I'm sorry. It's weird. She kind of grew overnight on us. She looks way more baby-like. I think you might be able to hear in the background. We're currently at the end of the witching hour. That 6 o'clock meltdown hits on the spot every day. Today she's keeping it up a little bit. She didn't take her last nap. But at nights, dude, she's been sleeping from about 9:30 to 7 a.m. That's solid. I'll take that.
All day.
That's solid.
Yeah. Keep that up. Tell her to keep that momentum.
Yeah, it's
You're
nice.
gonna go through your waves, where you'll have wonderful, beautiful nights, and then you'll have times you wake up 3 or 4 times.
Well, shit, I'm about to hang 10 on this wave. This is a good wave.
Oh yeah. It's like man, I haven't messed with y'all for a while, so I'm gonna wake up every other minute, and just mess with y'all sleep. But hey man, happy sleep, happy lives. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you guys are getting that sleep, and keep up the good work, 'cause that means you're doing something right. At the same time, we've been getting good sleep too. I've been taking this dude to the park, and we've been balling out on the swing, and he just loves the swing, dude. He loves the swing, and then he goes down the slide, with me, and he loves that too. So we've been trying to ball out in the park, and it's almost standing time. And then also too, we took him to get his head looked at, and it was another month for his head because he has one side of his head still sloping a little bit. So the doctor wanted to make sure that she gets that fully correct. So yeah, man, things are going really well right now over here in housekeeping at G.
That's dope, man. I can't wait till he gets that thing off. He's been wearing that shit forever.
Yeah, man, it's been a good 4 or 5
Yeah,
months.
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's been
about 12 episodes,
Hell yeah.
It's been saying a month and a half, about a month left for 8 months.
He's gonna be wearing it till next season,
right?
Season 2 of the Modern Father podcast. So hey, but everybody, make sure you still like and subscribe. We're growing, we're blowing up, and just want to make sure. Hey, good night, bye guys. Just make sure that you are liking and subscribing, and follow us wherever you guys get your podcasts. Also, because man, we're doing big things out here, especially with those shorts. Hey, dude, is she still eating a bunch of the milk? Is she still at what, 7 or 8 right now?
No, we're still at 5.
There you go.
Yeah, we're at 5. This weekend we gotta go to the store and order another size up on bottles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys did you buy size appropriate bottles, or did you just have a big ass bottle and you grow into it?
Yeah, we started off with a small bottle, and then he just started taking way more than that. We started refilling that bottle, so we're just all right. So we just kept these. We have these. I think they're 10 ounce bottles, and yeah, he loves them. He enjoys it. He enjoys the nipple that comes out of it because some nipples he hated, man. That dude was going through nipples left and right.
We use the same one. It's what is it, Avent? It's it's a green joint.
Yeah.
That's the only one she uses. I tried giving her other ones and she wasn't too into it. But this one she used. And her pacifier too. It's been legit the same one. That she's been stuck on the same pacifier.
Cairo couldn't get into any pacifiers because the cats would just eat them. So like you would spit them out, and then the cats would just come in and just like it was like alligators in like a swamp, you know, just putting like live bait in there. They just come and start playing with it and popping them. So yeah, we went through so many of them. Like we're just like just forget about it.
It's funny when she doesn't want it, she just rejects it. She's like, pish. Shooting threes. Yeah, she's just like. And then when she's knocking out, that shit's hilarious, bro. It's like she's like just hanging like a black and mild.
Right.
Like it's just bare. Like you don't even know how it's holding on to her lip. It's just, but it's barely on there. Like she's just chilling with a black and mild, knocked out after a long night.
Just posted.
Yeah, just
man. I'm glad she's doing. How's she doing in stores right now? How's the stores transition?
Oh, she's chilling, man. She likes being outside. She's been pretty good. I'm telling you, as long as we're not out by 6 or 7, she is not a fan of.
Yep.
But you know, we're working through it. It's been fun.
Dude, writing this down. Next topic, because you know I work for the Knights and everything, and shout out to the Knights. You know, make it to the playoffs. Got playoffs starting next week. But people bring their kids to the game, and I ain't talking about like their 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds.
Yeah, it's
people bring their
infants.
either exactly.
Yeah,
I've seen as early as 7 months at the game, and they bring them in the backpack.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't know how much I would enjoy the game. It's kind of exhausting, man. You're carrying a kid the whole time. You know, it can get rowdy, you know, especially the type of sports town you're in. Some crowds are rowdier than others and shit. All you need is like accidental elbow to fly or beer to fly on your kid, and that's just gonna irritate me. And you know, the sensory it's so loud. Like I know that like you have like the headphones. A lot of people use the headphones for the babies, which I'm sure help, but I don't know. It seems more of a hassle than a memory. Like the kid ain't gonna know shit. Like, what am I gonna remember? Struggling carrying this kid, trying to eat a pretzel and dropping cheese on her forehead or some shit, you know?
It's all burning up.
Yeah.
Second degree burn.
Like, nah, man. It's like, it doesn't, logistically for me, it's just the cons outweigh the pros. I'm not that thirsty to go to a game. I've been to a game before. I could wait, bro. Like,
oh, how about this one? Selfish or nah?
What?
Bringing your kid to a game like that.
No, that's not selfish. I don't think it's selfish. I think, you know, I would say most of the times probably with good intent, just diehard sports fan. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people just try to do that shit and take pictures to look cute and active as a parent. But I also think it's just a lot of work. And for me personally, the work that it takes to have a good time, I don't feel like putting that much effort to enjoy myself.
Right.
Like, I'm perfectly content at home where she's chilling, you know, emergency, like, I don't gotta drive with her, I don't have to carry her, get her ready, get the carrier, get the fucking wheelchair, go through security, go up an elevator, because I'm not walking up with this shit with a bum-ass leg.
For real.
You know what I mean? Really, so, like, all those steps, bro, like...
it's brutal.
It's just I don't feel like doing all that. And then for my own enjoyment, like I said, the baby's not gonna know. Like I have to really want to be there. Like it's better be the Super Bowl, you know what I mean, or like Game 7 of the finals. But for what, a play-in game, I'm good.
I'll ask you this, like, cause you're about to say the play-in game, but like, what if the Bulls like win the play-in game, right? And then what if they go to like a Game 7? And they're like, yo, like your boys call you up. And they're like, yeah, man, like you and your wife, you should bring the kid. Like I got the extra tickets for you. Like we're gonna be like two rows up from center court. 2 rows up. You're right behind Doris Burke. You're right behind Mike Breen and Van Gundy.
You know what though? I'll tell you one thing. If that really would happen, I would be the only one going. My wife would stay home. She'll be like, you know what? She's like, don't trip. Just go by yourself. Like, I think it would be like fuck. Like she'd feel salty about it. Actually, no. If we're at the crib, somebody's gonna watch it. I'll give it to her mom. Like so, but if it was like Game 7, Denver versus, you know what I mean, Denver versus Chicago in Denver, right? I think if we couldn't find anyone to leave the baby with, my wife would stay home and I would go.
Wow, that's a sacrifice right there.
I think she would. I think she would because, I mean, she does like the Nuggets now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I've been a Bulls fan forever. Like,
yeah,
ever. I mean, I got Michael Jordan thing hanging in my daughter's room right now, of when he won the 6th championship. It's the printout, like the metal printout that they make copies for the newspaper. I have that one from the, what is that? The Tribune, I think, with Skip Bayless' column when he used to work in Chicago.
Right?
Yeah.
I was gonna save this topic, but I might as well go with it right now since we're talking about it. Hey, is DeMar DeRozan's daughter the MVP of that game last night?
She snapped, dude. I could hear her from the TV on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So that was cute. Her jacket was dope. Did you see it?
Dope. Oh yeah, she was fly. She was super fly.
But you saw like a Bulls daddy's girl's jacket. That shit was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Tough. That was tough. As a person with a daughter, that is some gangster shit right there.
Oh yeah. They're full support.
That's stunning.
That was super stunning. Like 18 missed free throws. That's the most in any form of postseason. Most free throws missed, all because of one little girl screaming her like lungs out. On every attempt.
Every single one.
Dude, shout out to her, man. Like, I'm serious. That's the MVP of that game for sure. Because 18 missed free throws is like a grip. Rewatching that game because I had to go back and watch. I was busy, and rewatching that game, like, man, 18. To go to the foul line that much. You know what I mean? Like, the Raptors should have won that game. Especially they were up by like 19.
Yeah,
they should have won that game by like at least 22, 23 points. That should have been a mud hole stomping.
We ain't going though. We on that.
Yeah, no, you're not going. No, you're not going, dude. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan's daughter for that MVP performance. Shouting out. Next topic. Should children bring toys to the park? Or any place where there are children? Just to put reference on this, like I said earlier, I've been taking Cairo to the park, and there's always a tussle from another kid to another kid pulling this kid's toy. Like today it was a toy car. It was like a little I think it was a Lightning McQueen actually, toy car. Some kid just rolled up to another kid, right? Snatch, bam. Kids just start crying like, ah. So then it becomes like a parent issue, like, oh, yo, you give it back, little Johnny. I forgot, little, give it back, please. That's her toy, whatever. So is it appropriate to bring a toy to the park?
I mean, that's a good life lesson to learn, right? Like, hey, man, I'll have a little pep talk with my daughter after. Like, you see, look, that's right there. That kid's an asshole. And you're always gonna run into assholes in your life. So next time
you use that terminology,
probably, yeah, probably. She's gonna know what's up. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing around her because then that's not gonna be real. And she can't have a fake version of me when everyone else gets the real deal. Holyfield, that's cheating her. I'm like, look, man, that kid's an asshole, man. He's just mad that you got something that he wanted, and he couldn't tell you that he wanted it, so he snatched it. So don't trip about shit like that. Don't worry about that.
But just like, wouldn't it like that just diffuse everything? You just say, hey, just leave that at home and just enjoy the amenities.
Yeah, but of course I want her to play in the park, but it depends on what it is, because there could be things that enhance to play at the park. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a shovel, a bucket, and shit, and she starts, looking through rocks, mm-hmm. Taking dirt and shit and making, using it. Especially, like, with a jungle gym where it looks like it kind of already has shape of, like, a house situation, which is something mm-hmm. they're used to. right? Living in some type of housing complex. So if you add toys to it, I mean, especially like abstract toys, they can like enhance their play. And then you can use that time. They're learning how to interact with other people and know that there are assholes in the world, and there are little people and big people.
True. Yeah, so this is also like a scenario. I was telling people about the podcast over at T-Mobile Arena, and a couple of one of the bartenders, he's chicken chopping up like every game, and he's like, man, like I was over at one of those play centers, and while my son was playing, another kid ran up on his son, pushed his son, took the item that he was playing with, and walked away. And so he was like, man, like he was frazzled. He's like, man, like what do I do? Like, so he picked his son up because his son was crying, and he was looking around for this kid's parents. And like he couldn't find it because I guess it was like a mom that was chopping it up with a group of other moms and wasn't paying attention. So that was like he brought like a modern father scenario like to the pod, and I appreciate. So like, what would you do in that situation?
I mean, if I can't find a kid's mom, I'm gonna worry about my kid first and foremost. So I'm gonna address and make sure she's cool. I don't got time to go check and say something. Then to say something to somebody else, and I have my daughter crying. So I'm gonna just tend to her, make sure she's good. And I probably will go to that parent when I find her eventually. I'm sure I'll run into her. It can't be that big of a place. It's just like, yo, this is what happened. I'm not gonna be mad. Again, he's a little kid, and I don't know. You don't know what people's values are. So again, it's just more of teaching my daughter how to respond in that type of situation, even at that young age. So if she sees me just kind of chill out and tend to her, take care of her, not overreact, you know what I mean? Because then you're just gonna heighten the situation, and just give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a little kid. At the end of the day, it's a little shorty on the other side, same age, little kid. Now, if you keep coming back, then that's a different story. Like, I'm like, look, man, you need to get your kid, bro. Like, get him out of here. Like, today's not the day. Try to come, like, get your kid out of your kid's out here hurting somebody. You are in over your head. You got to figure something out. Right.
What if it's your kid doing the snatching?
I mean, I'm going to talk to her, make sure she knows that she's wrong, and if she does it again, we're just going to leave. All right, we done then. So I'm going to try to reteach you, and then you don't want to listen still, then we're just going to go. I'm not going to have you run around, got me looking all crazy. Right. I don't care what you say. Your kid do some shit like that, you feel guilty as hell. You know everyone's looking at you like, look at this bitch. You don't know how to take care of the kid. You get it from everybody. Everybody looking at you side eye. Everybody giving it to you. Come on, man. Y'all know you know I ain't lying.
Especially if your dad there.
Oh, no, especially if you're like
you're Republican number one.
In the suburbs and shit, and then all clicked up like junior high.
You know where I live. Man, so you know, like my shit is like ultimate suburbs. So like
the West Day, it's spread more. You know.
Oh yeah. That's why I think it's important in that situation to like walk around and almost like introduce yourself, or just like at least give people like the nod.
I ain't doing all that shit.
Like I'm like, hey, is this because you see people again? That's the thing. It's like you see people again, and then only that, like too, like that's how like I'm talking to a lot of like other dads is by being out there, and like I'm like, oh, you ever want to be a part of this podcast? Like, oh yeah, man, like this looks dope. And so like I've got a few dads like off of just chopping it up at the park, you know, and just and getting their mindset. There's a lot of dads out there that do what we do, that want to talk about this stuff, you know. Shout out to all my park dads out there, minivan mafia style, you know.
Minivan mafia.
Yeah, SUVing out here, you know, with the tanks, you know. Let's go, tank dogs, you know. Salute, let's get it. Would you ever let a coach yell in your kid's face after making a mistake, whether it like be basketball, tennis, whatever sport? Would you ever let your coach like just get in your kid's face?
Yeah, why not? And it also depends on what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're giving objective criticism that is legitimate,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not name calling, putting my kid down, saying nothing crazy, but you're just in over it, like that's just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna console her after because that shit's gonna break. But hey, man, you gotta. You don't know how people are gonna respond. You were wrong. Shouldn't have yelled at you like that, but there's another life lesson for you. Mm-hmm. That's another, like, it's not like if he's getting disrespectful and like getting crazy with it, then no, we're gonna cut that out. But if it's like legitimately, because I've been yelled at like that by a coach, but he didn't like hurt my feet, he didn't like try to like break me down, but he just got tired of me. And to be quite honest, if a good coach gets to a point where they're yelling at you like that, I would say 99% of the time that kid fucked up.
Yeah.
Or like it was something like really triggering.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't say I don't know, I've gone off on kids before.
Oh yeah, I've seen you. Oh yeah, man.
It's because
like
like most of the time it's because they're like half-assing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it can do more than that, and it pisses me off to see people like, especially kids, not live up to, not, I wouldn't say live up, but at least attempt to put their forth effort in something they're already pretty good at.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the only thing that's bringing them down is their lack of effort, blatantly not trying hard at all. And like they're on the brink of doing that. Shit pisses me off, and I let them have it for there. Or like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, I'll get into you, I'll get in on you on, but I'm not gonna disrespect you and curse at you. That's ridiculous. There's no place for that. But
yeah,
I'm an emotional person sometimes, and like I said, kids know how to hit a nerve. Everyone knows how to hit a nerve. So if you've been tiptoeing on my nerve already, and then you're doing some dumb shit, I'm gonna have to tell you about it. But I'm not gonna disrespect you. So my daughter, she's doing something like that. She probably was because she was doing something she shouldn't have been doing, or she was making really dumb ass errors and mistakes that doesn't match the quality of player that she is.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what gets coaches the most is that the dumb, stupid errors. And the stuff that, man, I done told you this like 3 or 4 times, bro. Like, what is it going to take? You know, like, what is it going to take? Like, now it's time for me to get up in your face. Like, you're going to feel some perspiration. You know, you're going to feel a little bit of juice coming out because like, they're that mad. I think that's good, actually. Because I know, for me, I'm not going to give it to you a way a coach is going to give it to you. So that's why I don't want to coach any of my kids' teams, to be honest with you. I want to be like the individual... You know, like we're gonna be day to day, like we'll work on stuff and practice and stuff like that. I'll be like your drill guy, but I'm not gonna be your X's and O's guy and your team guy. I don't want to be that. I'm gonna leave that for somebody else so you can hear something because eventually, like that gets drowned out. You know, your voice just becomes mute. It's like, man, Dad, I have heard you like, I heard you 1,000 million times. You know, like I don't want to hear you no more. So I want my kid to just get like reamed. You know, and I was like, man, I told you so. You know what I mean? Like, well, like, how many people is it gonna take? You know, like, and that's what you get. You know, like, so, and also too, like, I want my kid to learn accountability, and I think other coaches will bring that out of him. So yeah, man, shout out to like coaches that are drill sergeants that are yelling at him because I see that all the time on my basketball job on Saturdays. It's like, man, get these dudes. You know, get them. And like some of the parents are like, oh, you know, like we were yelling at my kid. It's like, well, look at your kids out here messing up. So yeah, get them. Another thing too happened. Another father scenario that happened this last weekend. So this coach is edit. Look at these things, man. I got these things all over the place. They're in my background. They just want to swarm me right now and mobbing me. So one of the kids, he goes up for a layup, right? He misses, and this is like a pretty physical game. Refs are calling everything, but it's still physical, and emotions are high. Coaches over there yelling at kids left or right. So emotions are really high. This kid comes down, misses the layup, and he's just mad at himself. He's just pissed. So this kid is like in the a little face up position. He runs up on this kid and just Bah! Smacks him down. Just intentional foul. Got kicked out of the game. He lost his emotions. He lost his cool. The dad, whose son got hit, is like all over me. You know, he's all over me. Like, he's like, man, like, you guys are like this. This is the worst game ever. This is too physical. Da, 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 da. He's airing me out. He's super pissed, you know. As a dad, I let him air me out. I was like, give me all you got. Because, like, right now, if I was in your situation, I would want to fight the other dad. Like, literally, I would want to fight the other dad. So, what would you do in this situation?
I mean, I'm not gonna try to fight the other dad, bro. The only reason why I'm fighting this other dad is because he starts getting crazy with me. If she fouled my daughter, bro, that's kid business. That's between them.
Mm-hmm.
That's between them, bro. Like, I'm not gonna interfere with that. That's part of the game, bro. Sometimes somebody's hating on you and they're gonna take a cheap shot on you, bro. I'm not gonna run into that's kid drama. And I'm not gonna hold another parent accountable for their kids' emotional responses. That's not fair. Again, in the moment, like, you gotta catch yourself though. Like, if you're not training, if you're not thinking already, like, that's how you would respond. Your first response is gonna be fight, right? Fight or flight. And so, especially with your kid, you're gonna think more emotionally. So I think that's what I'm saying. People automatically are gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and handle that parent and say something to that parent. But that's two adults getting engaged in kid drama. That's what that really boils down to. Think about it though. Think about it. Think about you being you're hooping and you're playing a physical game. Say you're your kid, and this kid goes and fouls the shit out of you, right? And they're kicked out the game. Do you want your dad to come in and like fight your battle? Or are you gonna just be like, yeah, that's you off the game though, like whatever, you know, like, are you gonna take that into the game? Like, let's go. Like, I got into his head to the point where I got him kicked out the game.
See, like, I thought about that. And like, now it would be dope if like my son did get up and did that, like a Draymond Green clap in his face, you know, like, hey, you know, like that, one of those, like that would be pretty dope.
That's what I'm saying.
I just think, okay. But I just think that, like, how it happened, like, I saw it. You know what I mean? And like, it's one thing. It's one thing if it was just like, yo, like, I'm just gonna push this dude down and like, you know, dude literally like blowed him like almost like it was like, you know, suckerific. You know what I mean? Like, just it was like a cheap shot like that. So like, I think if it was just like an intentional foul to where it was like, all right, this dude, you know, like, he's getting kicked out of the game, but like my son's like still okay. Like, dude, this dude might have got a concussion. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those. It was Draymond Green-esque. You know what I mean? It caught him. It caught him pretty flush. So like that's where like I think it just depends on the severity of the incident and like the way it was and the way that interaction was. I probably would have checked the dad. I probably would have checked the dad on that one.
But what are you gonna tell him?
Like, man, yo, you better get your kid. You better get your kid emotionally like poised and get your kid under control. I mean, you know what I mean?
Okay, but I would think, again, most parents they're gonna be just as mad. Mm-hmm. Was his dad like encouraging him? Do you have any reason to believe like the dad was?
No. That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. So
dad was not encouraging that, and also I have conversations with the dad whose son who had that happen to him. But I'm just saying from a standpoint of like, if I didn't know this man, I would have been like, dude, like, why is your son doing that?
I mean,
like, I would ask questions. I would ask questions. Like, why is your son not mentally tough enough to come out here and just play basketball?
See, but that
I'd be asking
there,
questions.
that if you ask a question like that, that's how you get somebody to swing on you for no reason.
Shit, hey man, you know, I took a few classes of judo.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you have two adults fighting over kid drama. I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not. Me personally, I'm not doing that. It's not worth it. I'm not getting into a physical altercation over some kid shit.
I just think if you would have seen it, you would be thinking a little differently.
Unless the person shot my kid, that's the only reason why I'm open firing. But other than that, like some straight kid shit, bro. Like I said, motherfuckers get fouled, bro. I played some tough basketball, and mind you, I didn't even play like high level basketball. This is like shorties. I didn't play basketball past like 8th grade, like Oregon. Like actually, I played in the parks. Like for a school, I didn't play like school organized basketball past 8th grade, and even I can remember playing in middle school for a good team and playing in rough ass games, and I'm getting whacked, bro. I've been rocked like elbows, intentional shit, and I've done some dirty shit too. You know, we just always kept it on the court. Like, all right, I see.
That's on the court. So that's also through the game. And just to let you know that San Diego basketball is way more physical than Chicago basketball. I'm just putting that out there.
Man, they just glide around. All they're doing is gliding, bro. Everyone gets a layup. Bro, in Chicago, we used to play like 21 or 32 on half court with like 15 heads, bro. Straight up. So you didn't have to take it out because there's so many people playing.
Right.
That shit was madhouse though. But y'all out there shooting threes. The mugs is to get the rebound and just try to take it up through everybody. Like that was the goal. Every rip. Y'all weren't playing like that, man. Y'all over there.
Oh, we were playing
like Jerry West.
We
were playing West Coast.
No, we were playing the old school, like pass the ball, Princeton offense basketball, man. Actually, San Diego ball is pretty physical. And you have some cats that try you from different neighborhoods, like
they'll rock, they'll cross. I don't know about tough. They'll cross you up. I mean, they're like I said, fluid, but physicality, I don't know, man. Oh, yeah. I don't think it's a thing, man.
It got physical.
These Chicago boys.
You go to Southeast. Say that in Southeast. They out there. They're playing out there. You know what I mean? They're out there getting you. Shout out to all my Southeast cats, man.
Shorties in Chicago are rough, bro. They be trying to dunk on everybody in 2nd grade. They're not even close to the rim.
Well, we used to see how that went when we were actually on the court. I used to lock you down. You know what I mean? That was that stall. That was that defensive stall where I was That was your worst nightmares. I knew you're left-handed. I knew you scouting report. So
he's a tortoise, man. This dude gets injury prone.
We would go at it, but I would be locking you up. I used to love that. All right, I got him.
Man.
I got him.
Get out of here.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got him.
Smacking threes on his ass.
Yeah, you get a couple, but after that, it's just you go to the other end. You couldn't handle that speed. That was I'm putting that shit in 6th gear, man. That's the Porsche.
This dude's injury prone.
It's the McLaren. I mean, that wasn't that. That was a glass, man. I battled through my injuries.
This dude had a concussion and pick up.
Hey, that was major though. Hey, I still coach with the glasses on. Hey, I pulled up to a different school. They're looking at me like, "Is Ray Charles in the house?" Like, yeah, I'm out here blind and out coaching your asses. Yeah, man, that was a badass concussion though. I was real bad. I remember that shit. I was throwing up at my other job. I was a bartender throwing up. Dude, that was brutal.
Ooh,
oh man,
making chunky Cosmos and shit.
Oh, dude, no, I didn't even make it. I didn't even make it past my shift, man. They didn't even throwing me out. They're like, hey, like they called long term and was like, go get your boy. Go get your boy. He's out here yakking, because it was all the TV screens. I looked at all the TV screens and I was just like, oh god, nah. That was just projectile, man. I was a bad concussion. That was my worst concussion I think I've ever had. Shout out to Mr. D for that one. Mr. D was out there. I'm still playing the rest of that game too. I don't remember playing the rest of that game. That's another story. All right, here we go. Is forcing your oldest kid to take care of the siblings wrong?
No, it's not wrong. It's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's wrong because every kid I know who does that's out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just unfortunate that you have to take on an adult responsibility at a young age. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, if it's somebody once in a while for like an hour or two, that's a different story. But if this is like a routine part of life, it's just unfortunate. You know, it sucks. Like, I wish it didn't have to be that way, but for some kids it is that way. And I just hope they own it. And like, because that makes them grow up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? After school, you're taking away opportunity for after school activities and kid shit. You only a kid for a little while, but they're already absorbing an adult, an adult responsibility at a young age. It kind of sucks. It's not, I guess, fair to them, but if it's needed for necessity, because it's just how a living situation is, then, you got to do what you got to do.
All right, let me add this wrinkle into it. What if it affects their attendance to where like now like they're in truancy?
I mean, I think I still have the same view on it. I still feel like it's not wrong. It's just, again, unfortunate. And parents I've worked with in the past who they just take the truancy, like, I can't do nothing about it. I'll go to truancy court and I'll explain why she's staying home, or he's staying home, and how they're helping me. Again, I think that's again, unfortunate. I don't think it's wrong if it's a necessity. Now, if you're out there just dicking around and not doing anything and taking care of your kid, and you're just leaving this kid to take over the other ones, then and you're not doing anything to help your family get out of the current condition that it's in, you're a piece of shit. You're wrong. But if you're grinding and it's for a reason, for a greater purpose, then, explain to your kid, like, hey, this is a part of the grind. Like, it's hard for whatever reasons, whatever those people are going through. But if you're not doing shit and you're just trying to party and smoke and kick it and dick around with your friends, then that's totally wrong. Because now you're setting up the other kid to repeat the same cycle that they're experiencing. Because they're going to fall behind in school. They're not going to be able to catch up. You're putting responsibility on them. They're always by themselves. You learn bad habits when you're by yourself and you got a lot of unsupervised time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, what do you think?
I'm torn about this one because, like, there's some hardworking folk out there that definitely can't afford childcare, or even if they do have like affordable childcare out there, that's like lower income childcare, and still having issues of putting their kids in there. It makes me sad because that kid now, like you said, their childhood is done. There goes like having fun, with the boys and playing basketball like we were talking about. You wouldn't have those childhood memories of playing that physical San Diego brand of basketball. You want to, you there goes the times where you're kicking it, hollering at girls and just chopping it up, and because you're just busy handling family stuff. So I think from like a standpoint of like your childhood and that stuff that you'll never ever get back. Because now you're forced into almost adulthood at, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You're thrusted into it. So now like you're handling stuff that normal other kids wouldn't even come close to doing. The kid down the block is playing, PlayStation 5, and you're out there monitoring your siblings to where they're hopefully they don't choke and hopefully they stay safe. Now, I think even if mom is still, or dad is working hard and that's happening, I think it's just the most unfortunate thing that ever happened to somebody. I really do. I really think that they deserve so much better and so much more, but it's just the unfortunate circumstance that they grew up with, and it happens to so many kids. I remember during the pandemic, I saw that a lot. A lot of 12, 13-year-olds taking care of 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and like so responsible. And I'm like, man, it's like, man, like you are so responsible taking care of this kid. Like you could easily do like math problems, but they're so burnt out because they can't even handle like the rigors of school because they're present, but they're not really present because they're so burnt out taking care of kids. And you know how taking care of kids is. Like, you're an adult. So imagine being like a teenager and having to take care of kids and try to do it like the right way so like they're not going through the same things that you're going through. I think this is it's hard. It's sad. It makes me sad. It brings a tear to my eyes.
Yeah. It's tough, man. But, you know, if you find yourself in that situation, just keep in the back of the mind that you got to make sure you're carving out intentional time for your kid to be a kid. Mm-hmm. So, however that looks in your household, just make sure you're intentional with some time because they are helping you a lot. I mean, you don't like going to work for free. So think about it with your kid. Like, they're picking up a shift at the crib. They need some type of paycheck. Mm-hmm. And make it more memorable than an object. Right.
Yeah. Treat them like almost like a babysitter. Like they got to monetarily gain them. But if they're in that situation, I know there's not going to be that much form of monetary gain.
Yeah, you know, for kids, man, a lot of them just want time from their parents. So even if they're busy, a lot of it is just time, bro. It makes such a big difference if you just you don't gotta do nothing. Mm-hmm. Go to park.
That's why we endorse 2-parent households, you know, or like, you know, 2 parents that are, you know, revolving around children.
Involved.
Because then this kind of stuff just like wouldn't happen. This is going to be kind of like the meat and potatoes, not the main event, but the semi-main event, and we're going to get into this one. I'm asking some hard questions on this one. So, what validation do you feel motivates you more? Validation from your job or validation from your spouse?
My job.
Why?
Probably. I mean, all I've known is work my whole life, mm-hmm. and I've always valued work and going to work and having that responsibility. And my kind of work is just, it's a little different, you know. I don't work with money. You know what I mean? I don't work with technology. I work with other people's children. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a position to like make a bigger impact than just an individual impact on kids, and that drives me. And I would say I easily, like, when people ask you to like describe yourselves, I a lot of times I tend to revolve around my type of work, and I'd say less of my job and more of the type of work that I do is working with youth. Mm-hmm. Like, that is like a big part of my character.
When somebody asks you about your job, do you say I am an assistant principal, or do you say I work as an assistant principal?
I work as an assistant principal, mm-hmm. but I'm an educator.
Mm-hmm. So you would say, like, I am an educator, but mm-hmm. I work as an assistant principal.
Correct.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is because, like what you just said about, you know, you taking your validation from your job. So that means that most of your time spent, your 40 to 50 hours, because you probably put in overtime. You know, every administrator, every person in education does work, you know, additional hours in the day. So that means that you would say to yourself that, like, my personality is this job. Would you agree to that, or would you disagree to that?
I wouldn't say personality. Mm-hmm. I think character. I wouldn't know. Personality, character, kind of interchangeable, but I don't feel like there's a person. There's not a personality for an educator. I don't believe there is. There's character traits that is a part of their personality that will draw them to that type of work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so that I would see it more like that way. So I definitely think I have some overlapping characteristics, But there's different personalities in the school building. And like when you really talk to the folks, there's a lot of different backgrounds coming in. Most of them come from a lens of privilege, but that privilege also looks different and it varies.
Yes.
It's very rare that I run into people who have similar backgrounds than myself, who are in a room that I'm in education. There are not a lot of people in leadership who come from like my type of environment growing up. But like when I was in the lower positions, like when I was a paraprofessional, when I was, I would say up to a dean, that's when, up to a dean, I saw a lot of similarities. But once I got past the dean, district level, assistant principal, those folks have fallen off. So it's really interesting because I think I have a totally different outlook on education than like 90% of the people that I talk to now.
Yeah.
Who are in like decision making positions.
Would you say I'm going a little bit off, but I wanted to answer this. Would you say there's like some like systemic issues with that? Like a lot of people who do have a background like you and that have the same mannerisms as you can only elevate to a certain point, and it is harder to elevate if you don't come from that certain privilege?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, privilege just comes with a lot of open opportunity. I mean, starting from when you're just a kid of just being exposed to different types of professions and professionals in the household because your parents are professionals, so their friends are professionals. So having that, understanding, if you have two college educated parents, they know the game to get to where they got. Right? I know the game of education. There's a lot of rules to make public education work for yourself. There's a lot of like little things nuances you need to know. That they're not advertised, and if they are, the people who need to hear that information the most are not the ones attending.
Right.
So that's a whole different issue by itself. But yeah, obviously there's just a lot of different starting points for people. And then just interest, like I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a school psychologist. I kind of just walked into it blindly without even knowing what it was. But none of my friends are school psychologists, and even the ones who are successful, they took a different path. A lot of them, in the trades, but they make good money and they're able to have a nice life. But especially working with kids, bro. All the dudes that work with kids that I see now, nothing alike.
Would you be able to say, if you switched a job, say like you were like, next year I got offered a job in tech security, right? And they're going to offer you like $120K to be a manager for a tech security firm. Would you be able to identify with that job as, hey, I am a tech security guy? Or would you be like, no, I just work as a tech security manager?
I wouldn't be even interested in doing that shit.
Well, I know. I'm just saying hypothetically.
I mean, I'd probably just tell people I work in tech. Yeah. I don't want to be the job. You know what I mean? Because I know that's something like people have to work with.
Right.
Like when their job is their total identity. I think it's a big piece of it. And I mean, honestly, not having my baby, that kind of brought me more of a reality check of just as a reminder of like work isn't everything. It's important.
Yes.
But now I have something that is more important than that. And I'm not saying like my relationship isn't perfect, but I mean, not perfect, but important. But when my wife and I moved here, we both knew it sucked. Mind you, there have been times where it sucked. But we both came out here grind to grind. Like she has made tremendous gains in her career as well in these last 7 years. Like we grinded, we put everything into work for the last 7 years. So I think we both kind of saw work as a priority. And now that we have the baby, it's kind of like a reality check to take a step back and remember, like, to put more focus on the family piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely, I definitely agree with you on that one. I think this year alone, being stay-at-home dad, just trying to revolutionize the game, stay-at-home dad, 2023, stay-at-home dad 2.0. You know, Hustlers Nation, still like on the grind, you know, doing these podcasting, you know, getting cameras and setting up stuff, vlogging for my buddy's wedding, just doing a whole bunch of stuff on the other side, and also working too at the same time. But it also allowed me to take a step back, because when you're in education, you care so much about the kids, you know. And I know, like, you're a guy that's like, you know, like, hey, like, I want to see everybody around me do well. You know, I don't want anybody to fail, especially if they're good kids. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I want you to be successful in life. And you put a lot of effort. You put a lot of hustle. You put a lot of effort. And a guy like you, where you're come from and your past, allows you to have the in on a lot of these kids. And I think that's what a lot of education is missing. That's why I'm asking a bunch of these questions, is because, like, I talk to bus drivers, I talk to people who work at the Boys and Girls Club, I talk to people who are administrators, I talk to basketball coaches, football coaches, I talk to all these people that are around kids in school. They work so damn hard, and they identify as what they identify. And I'm okay with that being that in education, because you're changing people's lives. It's not like you're like a mortgage banker and you're over there just eating people up for interest, and you're getting people in at, like, you know, 7.8, and, you know, and then going about your business and wiping your hands clean with them and be like, haha, you know, I'll have your house in, like, you know, 3 or 4 years. Yeah. You know, you're doing basically the Lord's work, man. Like, you're shepherding a bunch of young individuals into better lives and trying to be a supportive person in their lives. And that's why I'm okay with people identifying as their job when they're in education, because a lot is on the line. A lot is on the line.
Yeah, I mean, and I know there's some people who are, like, just too also very proud of it. So that's cool. Like, you know, artist. I'm an artist. Or, you know, I'm a doctor, right? Medical doctor. So I definitely see that. And then, like, yeah, it's interesting, man. And now I just, it's time for me to step my game up and get into, like, the political side of education, because that's where the real change is, and there's even less of me walking around there.
Yep.
So
there's barely any of you. Did you hear that? Did you hear that Tennessee? The guy who got kicked out of the Tennessee House of Representatives. Yeah. And then so he got reinstated. But did you hear him and that Dr. Martin Luther King voice that he was doing?
I honestly, I didn't. I read it. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it.
Oh man, just when you get a chance, watch it, and I want to know your opinion about it, because, like, I get it where he's coming from, but it's like, man, like, a lot of it's like acting. Don't be an actor
on a serious topic. Yeah.
Yeah, don't go around here like get your Dr. Martin Luther King voice, like his Memphis, Tennessee voice before. But
have you heard any other time he talks? What if that's just his cadence?
I don't think that's the way he gets around, man. I think that he's just putting on a show. I mean, I don't know. For people, like, I don't think that's the other way. I don't think he gets down like that. That's the thing. I don't think. I think if he were in a room, you know, or if he's addressing people, like, at a school, he's not talking, hey, no way, we do this. You know, and it's like, dude, come on, bro. Like I get it that this happened to you, but, like, you could have got that off by, like, being, like, authentic. And that kind of stuff turns me off about politics. That kind of pisses me off.
Sometimes it does. You know? So my deal is to be the sweet and simple politician.
There you go.
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, and just be you, man. Just be you, because people will follow you when you're you, you know, and, like, not put it on over here Denzel Washington, you know, Malcolm X performance. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. That when it comes to validation, what do you receive it more? Do you receive it more from your job or your spouse?
Um, I would say there have been. I would say it's fluid. It's fluctuated. The crazy thing is I would say the more I went up to the top, the more the validation came from my wife. Like as a public, you work for the public. As you get higher up and further away from the instant action, the thank yous trail off. You know what I mean? So, or the acknowledgement is less, and you hear more problems. So, as that has happened more, I would say I've heard more from like my wife, and or other people in the community who are aware of my work. But I wouldn't say directly at it, like at my job.
Yeah.
And I think, compared to like when I was a para and shit, like when I first started, I mean, I talk to parents every day. I got a lot of validation, and seeing the progress in front of me. Now it's like it's a slow progress, and progress for me is not one kid; it's one whole school making a shift.
Yeah,
that takes a longer time too.
Yeah. And a lot of people that are working with you, because you can't change a school and school dynamics and culture. Like organizational culture can't be changed by one person.
No.
Even if it is that person on top has to install the right people that are willing to definitely do the legwork.
Yeah.
That you are.
Because it's not sustainable if you don't. You'll burn out.
Exactly. You'll burn out.
You might be able to do it. You could do it, but you're just going to be burning yourself out. And depending on the size of the population you're working with, it can be really difficult. I have the benefit of being a small school, and I'm used to working with bigger populations, so I know all my kids with ease. And I don't even think about it anymore. It's automatic.
Yep.
But you have a school with 3,000 kids. You have to be more strategic.
Big time,
and think bigger. On how to
and you have to. That's the thing. Your ideas need to be huge. Yeah. And they need to be on a school-wide scale. Exactly. Like for you, you're able to like do like little small groups. Individual content.
But I look at school-wide data, and I do look at school-wide data, and I utilize that a lot more for my decision making than individual data.
I think I get a lot more validation right now from long term than I do from my jobs and my interests. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I would say like the ones that mean the most to me is the one from long term, because I'm taking care of the kid. So like when I hear things from her that like that makes me feel a lot better than a coach telling me, "Oh man, this league is dope." Like hey, this is the shit. Like it's cool, but like I'd rather hear from like a family member who I'm taking care of the family. That it just means a lot more to me from that angle. Because I get validation all the time from work, but especially from like VGK people, like Vegas Golden Knights, they're like, "Oh, come back next season. Like you're dope. Like like you should get more into sales and stuff like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool," but like I'm also not trying to be a slave to the man. That's the other thing too, man. You get into sales, you are a slave to the man, bro. Like I tell all my salespeople, I love you guys. I love every single one of you guys. You guys work hard, but you're just putting money in other people's pockets. You're just lining it up. Oh, you're great at sales. Cha-ching, cha-ching. That's all I see is you. You're an asset to their pockets. And that's one thing about education that like you are not. Is like you're still an asset to the school. Yeah. You are an asset to the school, and like if you change around test scores, then for sure you're definitely making the school like more money, and you're making the superintendent definitely look good, or your head principal look good. But like it's not like a monetary thing. Like over there in sales, it is monetary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's big time monetization. So I'm tired of lining people's pockets. That's why I'm out here grinding on my own, trying to line my own. Get my pockets fat. Marcus is gonna make my pockets fat. That's what I'm saying. What do you think women value more in marriage? Validation from work or validation from their spouses?
I think it's. I mean, this is a hard question because
general. Nah, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about your wife.
I'm not. But I'm just saying, like, it really boils down to. I mean, I think there are women who view work like most men view work, to like where it doesn't match the stereotype. You know what I mean? Of like women should be at home. The generalization of like, oh, women should be at home caretakers. There are women out there who love working and thrive off of work. You know what I mean? Like
they do.
They're all like, I think, like, I feel like your long term when we worked together was She's like
a grinder.
She's a grinder. Like she was.
There's a reason why I'm working at home. You know, and working with the kid, and she's out there.
Like, so I think, like,
she's career oriented.
I think that validation would be stronger from work for her. Because like I've seen her in action, and I know like why and how she works. So, and I have female friends who are like the same way, where like having a man is cool and all, you know, but they're grinding, they're doing their own thug dizzle. Like, you need to keep up. Like, you telling me I'm doing great isn't gonna have me start a relationship with you. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I don't see it. Again, I think it depends on the person. I would say generally, I'd probably lean towards, and maybe this is the sexist in me, right? We all have our little generalizations. I would say probably from the man, being acknowledged by their man. I think that would make. But I think there are cases for the other way. But I would say if I had to pick one, overall, if I had to just select one and not just live on the fence, I would say their man over their job.
I would think that. I think it's both.
Yeah, I think it's both too. But you gotta make a choice.
If I'm gonna make a choice of one, shit, I would lean on the job. Okay. Just because the job allows the independence, unless you have like a man that like takes care of you full time. You know what I mean? Like pays your bills, you know, does everything. Like financially and takes, you know, care of you basically. I think that would be different because, you know, they don't work as much. But I think mostly the job, because I think a lot of women nowadays are just career oriented. And then tell me, do you know one woman who has a hobby? And I'm not trying to be sexist here. I'm just trying to say, like, do you know any women? And I know a few, but like if you were to give that percentage, like of like women who have hobbies, like how much like would you say would have hobbies, like that you know at least?
I mean, I would say the women I know who have hobbies their hobbies primarily working out.
Okay, that's a hobby.
That's like the most consistent one that I know. Right. Now, outside of like unique hobbies, because I don't have any hobbies, so like I don't think I have too many hobbies. Outside of working out, like that's like my number one hobby is working out, and then something basic, simple, very common. I like to play like MLB The Show. Yeah. Like I don't really play podcast. Yeah, I mean it is a hobby. It's a hobby, but I'm hoping for it to be more than a hobby. But when I'm thinking of just pure. Like a true hobby where it's only for internal gratification, like that's what I'm considering a hobby. Not to like turn it into a profession, just to do it because you enjoy it. I would say like weightlifting and like playing MLB The Show. Like other than that, bowling is a good hobby. Yeah, bowling's a hobby, but I don't do it that often. But I say female friends. Working out, I do have a couple who bowl. I mean, I feel like the people I know in Denver are very artsy, so a lot of their hobbies are around art, and I've met more people like that. In Chicago, our hobby is to party. So if partying counts as a hobby, then everyone I know got a hobby.
I consider that more like a leisure, like
everyone
party.
I know.
Right. I wouldn't label that a hobby, but like I label that as definitely getting out and everything. Yeah, like just so like the reason like why I asked that is because, you know, that work validation is so important for them to come home happy because they feel like the time that they're putting in at a place they're working hard as hell, that's important. Like me saying, oh, you know, dinner was great is not as important as manager Steve saying, hey, that last report looked really damn good. You know what I mean? So like I think that validation has more weight than a spouse validation saying, hey, like thanks for washing my clothes. You know? Or, hey, like you can get a promotion to keep the way you keep working. Like just think about that weight right there.
But then that's on you. That's on you because if I know that like my wife is killing it because I'm watching her do the work behind the scenes, and I know something good happened out of it, why can't I validate that? Why does it have to be just like thank you for dinner? Why can't I validate what she's accomplishing outside of home?
Those were examples. You can definitely validate.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm
still saying that like the manager. So if you were to repeat the same thing, like if you were to even say, hey, I really liked what you did with this last report. And then you come home and you read that same report and you're like, hey, I like what you did with this last report. I'm saying 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, your manager is going to make her feel better than you.
Well, fellas, if that falls into you, that manager is about to manage your wife's ass.
And that's why divorce happens. That's why people get divorced. So you better and that's why people.
Because if manager Steve making her smile for some bullshit like that, then you have no game, bro. Because if that's all it takes, man, I mean, like I said, there's other things you can do to show appreciation and validation. That's gonna fall on the individual, man. That's on the individual. If I know, like, my wife got, like, a promotion or something, like, that calls for, like, a dinner.
Oh, yeah.
That calls for something, you know what I mean? That's, like, a true acknowledgement. Or sometimes it's just as simple as, like, you know, ordering out food from her favorite take-home restaurant. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Something simple. A simple little date night. Just something more intentional around that acknowledgement. It's gonna blow the shit out of whatever the goof ass Steve gotta say. Fuck you, Steve.
Hey man, but Steve is with, you know, like people's wives like longer than like you are during the day. So I'm telling you, like men, like when I talk to these other men, I talk to them because I tell them about the podcast and like I'm interviewing these dudes and I'm talking to these guys and they're like, hey, you know, like the reason why my marriage broke up is because, you know, I went to work. You know, and she was working, and she was working hard, and somebody at work, they go out on like a little social thing, and that work husband usually ends up taking the place because that's why dude, I'm telling you, that's like the number one I believe number one reason why like divorces get broken up is because of work husbands. And it can happen to us dudes, you know, like with like we don't have dick discipline. With work wives, and all of a sudden you get close, you have a couple drinks one time, and then all of a sudden like, you know, your marriage is in shambles because you made a terrible decision because of lack of dick discipline, you know. But I think that the first situation I was talking about happens a lot. It happens a lot. And so that's why I came up with an article that shows us how to validate our women. 9 phrases that you can say every day to make your relationship more successful. It's an article that is written by Dr. Courtney Warren, and she's the contributor. You can find her at Dr. Courtney Warren. And this is an article that's been published on April 7th. And the first one is, I appreciate your effort. Do you ever say that?
Yeah. When I see when my wife does something that I know she doesn't like, it's not comfortable for her, or something new. I like to see, like, it's cool when she pushes herself. Like, I'm a coach at heart. So I coach everyone around me. Unfortunately, it's just a part of my personality. So it's really dope. Like, I do get a kick out of seeing my wife do something for the first time. And it does sense like a pride and happiness for knowing that she's doing something different, that she's putting some effort in. Like, I remember, like, I've never ran a 5K, right? She's ran a 5K. So going to watch her run that 5K, see her finish the 5K, that was dope. And for some people,
that's dope.
Some people do that shit every weekend. But, I fucking hate running. Like, I've never done that. So if she saw me do that, I know she would, like, again, will comment more on the effort, knowing that I hate to run, but I went through it and actually finished one.
I think this is a really important one. I always let Long Term know that, I appreciate her effort, especially when it comes into helping me out with Little Man, giving me time to go do my schooling. I appreciate, her cooking all the time. She works and she cooks, so I appreciate that. I like you. So this one can also be determined as, like, I like that you are passionate about staying healthy. I like how devoted you are to your hobbies. I like you. Do you use that one?
No.
I don't use that one either. I never use like. I never use like. That one kind of screwed me right there.
That's a cool one. That's a cool way to think about it. Where, like, when you really, it's cool because like, in those examples, you're very specific with what you like about this person, right? Mm-hmm. So the more clarity and understanding, especially if it's coming from a good place, the more likely you're going to see that same thing that you like. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. That's a good one.
Sorry about that. I'm going to interrupt you. Help me better understand this. I don't know why this is upsetting you, but please help me see your perspective. I want to work through this together, and I need to understand you better to do that. What do you think about that one?
I think that's a good one. I think I do a variation of it. Sometimes, again, I can be very just direct and blunt. So I think there are more times than not where I attempt to say something like this, but it comes off as dismissive or just kind of harsh. But my intention is to basically say this phrase of, help me better understand this. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I can, like I said, I think the intention is good, but I miss my target. When on depending on the conversation or, like, my level of frustration at the time already.
Yeah, when we're frustrated, it's hard to even talk clearly, let alone listen and stuff. Speaking of listening, I'm listening. I'll stop talking now and really try to listen to your point of view. I want to hear your side of things, even if we're ultimately disagree. I'm listening is something that I definitely try to use, but, like, a lot of times I'm not. Like, whether, like, I'm listening to a podcast trying to get ideas for this thing, or, like, I'm in a zone, or I'm with Little Man, I need to do a much better job of just initiating that conversation with, hey, I'm listening to you. Like, what else did you have in mind? That kind of stuff.
No, I'd say I use that a lot. Mm-hmm. And then I even tell on myself, because there are times where I'm, like, my wife would be going and telling me about something, and I might just be doing the dishes, and I'm just zoned out, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear a word you just said. And then she'll be like, most of the time she's like, she'll laugh like, oh yeah, asshole. Like, I'm sorry, I totally zoned out, and you kept going, and I didn't want to stop you because I felt like you needed to get off your chest once I heard glimpses of it, so I let you keep going, but I missed, like, the first 45 seconds.
Right. Yeah, man. That's something that I definitely need to work on. I'm sorry. I didn't communicate my feelings in a respectful way to you, and I'm sorry for that. I didn't like the way you acted last night, but I need to apologize for lashing out. Now, I think a lot of couples need to work on this, and I don't think this should be one-sided. I think this is like a level of accountability that you definitely need to show in your relationship, but I think both parties need to do this, because if you have one party saying this more than the other and like doing the genuinely apologizing, it becomes a one-sided relationship. So I definitely think like both parties, like especially when there's an argument or something, should be showing a level of accountability and a level of apologizing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we say, I know I apologize when I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I can own it. You know, I've gotten better at that. When I was younger, you know, I'd probably bullshit through my way through it, but mm-hmm. You know, now I'm grown. So if I mess up, I mess up, and I own it. And you know, my only rule is don't tell me you're sorry if you're gonna make the same dumbass mistake later on.
It's true.
So that's not a sorry.
Not sorry.
Yeah.
I think sorry is more like showing than, you know, telling. Because like, you know, so like if I leave, like, you know, say for instance, I never do this, but say the trash like piles up, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, like my bad, like I should be taking out the garbage more. But then the next day the garbage is still piling up. Like I just made a superficial sorry, and like that's, you know, it was bullshit. Like I would rather, you know, show the fact that I'm sorry by taking out the garbage and actually doing what I'm saying, following through.
Yeah. A good explanation.
I forgive you. Can you forgive me? I know we can't change the past, so I'm actively trying to let it go and move forward. I made a mistake and I'm trying to forgive myself. I hope you can forgive me too.
Yeah. You know, I think maybe not. I think subconsciously more than actually like having that type of conversation. Mm-hmm. You know, again, I think it's more of, especially the can you forgive me piece. You know, people always say like, I might forgive, but I don't forget. Uh-huh. But to me, I mean, if you're not let, that means you haven't totally let it go. So yeah, I think this phrase is also can be reflective of what you just said about the previous one of, you know, I'm sorry. It's like it's a setup for I'm gonna change my action right now. Mm-hmm. And can you and forgiving people is just hard. It's easier said than done.
It's so hard. It's so hard. Especially if something like cut like kind of deep.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And like words were said that, you know, you probably shouldn't have gone there. But you know, a discussion about that situation, and then also learning from like what you guys said to each other, and then also adapting safe words. Or even like, hey, like pause, like, hey, let's take a break for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to this because like emotions are high. I think that's really important when it comes to like hardcore arguments, because you don't want to say something that is going to be remembered, you know, and also hold on to. So that's why you definitely want to walk away from things if you feel like you're getting too heated. I am committed to you. Even when times are tough, I still choose to be with you. I am here and I want to make this work with you. We're a team.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know if we really talk about it, but I mean, I think for me, like when we got married, that was like the ultimate commitment of just putting that stamp of this phrase. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? Like it's already known that we're committed to one another, and there are going to be ups and downs, but we made this decision to be together. And like I said, we've had conversations, and my wife knows, you know, a lot of my deepest, darkest vices, and vice versa. She's been around for a hot minute, and she's been through a lot of shit with me too. And we have that level of communication, so she knows a lot, right? She knows probably more about me than I give her credit for. So I think getting married, once we got married and made that kind of commitment thing be more concrete, and it was just like we show our commitment by, I would say, a lot by going through those phrases, the first 6, right? By being dedicated to saying I'm sorry, right? To not just speaking about it, being about it. You know, sharing encouragement about each other's successes in our careers that we both are caring a lot about and want to be successful in. Right? Under having those tough conversations, you know, really talking about how we're going to raise and start our family and taking it as a team, whether it's financially, you know, we're looking at child care, we're looking at how are we taking her to the doctor. I mean, everything is pretty much a joint decision, and there are times where she'll take the lead on something or I'm taking the lead on something, but I would say most of the time it's a joint effort, and that's, again, making the right moves to our commitment to one another.
Yeah. It's that M unit, you know, M unit, you know, and also too, it's like you said, just I used to be I used to hang out with like a martial artist. I used to work at Big Five, and he was my manager, and he's like, whenever you punch with a purpose, right? So like when you're do actions, especially when it's with your spouse, you gotta make sure they're purposeful, like they're not just like surface level, you know, non-deep. Just like more of like, hey, I'm just doing this to make you happier right now, but like more of just purposeful actions to make that person happy. And I think that shows your commitment to the commitment, and also too just being consistent, and also like you just said, having those tough conversations. It really helps with you proving to her that you want to be there for the long haul. 2 more. Let's have some fun. We should get some fresh air. Want to do something fun today? I know I'm a lot sometimes. Let's take a breather from the tough topics and watch a comedy. I'm a big proponent of, you know, let's have some fun, but I'm gonna be very honest. I need to do this more, especially with all the ventures and stuff that I'm doing lately. I know, and also like I work during the night, and I know she works during the morning. I need to just carve out like a couple days a week, if not like, you know, 3 days a week, and just give that time more. I need to be more purposeful with that, because I know I let my other ventures take precedence sometimes, and I feel like I should be doing more of this. I know we do this like around like TV shows, but like sometimes when TV shows aren't on, I just should be doing this. And like, 'cause I know I'm watching a lot of basketball sometimes, not a lot of basketball, but here and there I'm watching basketball, here and there I'm watching like hockey and stuff. I should be in baseball. I should be doing more of this with her, and then, you know, filling that other void with my hobby stuff with basketball and football and baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just looking for fun it's gotten more challenging. It looks a little different. Mm-hmm. I mean, before our baby, I mean, we travel, we go out. I mean, you've seen us, like we go out to party and drink and go to restaurants and things like that. We're always down for a road trip. But now it's just more of like, fun looks a little different. More TV shows right now. Mm-hmm. More just doing little things with the baby. You know, fun is trying to like make it through brunch without her screaming. Like, that's fun now. Like, you know, like, you know, we try to be lighthearted. I like to think that we joke and laugh a lot. I always got something to say, so I think I definitely dominate the conversation and jokes and stuff. But she gets a kick out of it still, so I'm gonna keep it up because it must be working.
Yeah, so you must be doing something right, you know. Last one. I love you. I think this is important. It's important to say, but I think if you're doing the other 8 stuff, you're showing 9. You know what I mean? Like if you're going through the steps of every single day of trying to make your spouse like you know, the most important team member of your life, the person that you can talk to about anything, the person that you could trust, the person that you want to be around, the person that you want to mother your child, the person that you want to spend, you know, time watching rom-coms with, you know, or, you know, doing stuff that sometimes that you don't want to do, but you're just doing it to make her happy. that's showing 9. That's 9 in a nutshell.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm gonna take it a step further, and I would say you're right. So you definitely have to do all of those things to show love. But I think this phrase in particular sets validation, and partners want to hear that. So regardless of all the other things that are said, this phrase of I love you hits different. You know, and when you are doing these, the thing to remember is like when you do these other 8 things, right? The I am committed and showing all these things, you got to remember, like, as a human, there's going to be errors in that process, right? It's growing pains. So the I love you is a great validation and reminder. And I think, because I know I don't say it as much as I should, but I do think it's easy to be taken granted for. And I think it could be said more in most relationships that are truly authentic. And sometimes you just get carried away and you assume that other person loves you. But, you know it, but it's like, but it still feels good to hear it. So I think if you're able to just be intentional with that phrase and really just, let that person know, I think out of all the phrases, that's one that it's really just good to hear it, on top of obviously living it out, but hearing that phrase can go a long way as well, especially on a tough day.
Well said. And on tough days, we also ask, is there any last words?
Yeah, so when you have a tough day, right, you're stressed out, you're probably sweating a little bit more. Sometimes you get the bubble guts. So when you get the bubble guts, you definitely need to go home, drive safely, take your time, go upstairs, say hi to your family, but be quick, don't be hugging, because remember, you got the bubble guts, so you're probably wiping your ass all day. Go into the cupboard, get the washcloth, turn on the water, lukewarm, not too much, not too low. Get in there for a minute, marinate. Take the cloth, fill it up with soap. Take it from front to back so you don't get any dookie particles on your private parts, and wash your ass.
And you can do all of that with a loofah.
You don't have a good night.
Make sure you're using good soap. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of The Modern Fathers. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below. Be on the lookout for Twitter and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and just like our stuff. And also make sure you go on anywhere you get your podcast and join us for another episode of The Modern Fathers. Thank you, everybody.
Peace. Take care.
Peace.